From an employer's perspective, how does offering earned wage access to their employees help their businesses when it comes to attracting and retaining talent? I know you mentioned a little bit earlier that it has had a great effect on it, but if there's anything else further you want to add to that, that'd be great.
No, I think we've touched on it. I think the key thing is how does companies stand out to be different from their competitors? We're competing for the same talent. We've only got limited talent. And then for companies, it really is about how can we demonstrate for them an improvement to their bottom line savings. And bottom line savings essentially revolve around staff turnover and getting the same staff to full shifts. If companies cannot get their existing staff to fill a shift that becomes available, invariably they're going to labour hire companies at 3 times the cost. So, if we can get those same employees to work more hours, it saves the bottom line for the company.
Yeah. And I think one of probably the biggest challenges or the questions that, employers might have is, well, what are the challenges that my business will face when trying to implement earned wage access? Because they want to make sure it works for both them and the employees, right? So what could be the biggest challenge they come across?
So it's probably more about the challenge that we come across. And the challenge that we come across is do we need a whole change management process in place? Do we need a project team to put this in place? Is this going to change our processes? And invariably, there is no challenges when it comes to that. We are not making any changes to the way payroll works. The business operates exactly as it is. Think of it as a seamless plug-in to payroll and time and attendance software with no changes and no extra work. It's almost impossible to believe, but hand on heart, it is. Any
comments from our viewers about that one?
Yeah. I mean, we spent a good 18 months building these plugins to payroll and time and attendance so that it doesn't change. And that's where it really comes down to offering, our prospective clients an ability to have, talk to and get testimonials from our existing clients, because our solution, can be live within a matter of days, not a matter of months. We do all the heavy lifting for the company, and we need a few hours initially with payroll to do those setups, which is key.
Yeah, and that's just generally how earned wage access systems really work. Whether it's in Australia or whether it's in another country globally, that's sort of the foundation of it all. But now I think one point where our viewers will probably be more interested in being from a payroll perspective is, from a payroll and finance perspective, how does integrating earned wage access into the systems, into existing systems, typically work?
And I'll answer that pretty quickly, but we really have two models. One is for those payrolls that have APIs, or newer payrolls, we plug in using APIs. Older payrolls, we generally use file-based solutions. And what we're doing is we do a setup where we plug into the payroll, we get the access to the key data of those users in real time. We, as part of the setup, become another payee in the payroll system. So you've got 500 staff, let's say 501. Obviously, we don't have taxes that's attached to us. And essentially what happens is the payroll and time and attendance runs as normal. A user opens the app, they can see how much they've accrued in their earnings. They push a button on our app, and we transfer the money in real time into their bank account in seconds. When that happens, our technology will send an after-tax deduction into the payroll system, and it'll say real-time pay access, or we can change the wording, whatever it needs to be. So we take the gross pay, less existing deductions, child support, maintenance, car allowance, etc. We apply the tax rates, and we allow then 50% of after-tax deductions to be accessed. So there is no changing of taxes. There's no amendments to it. When that deduction goes into the payroll, now what happens is when payroll is run, the ABA file gets uploaded, and let's say we have 100 staff during that pay period that's accessed, let's say $50,000. The payroll gets run, each user gets their normal pay less whatever they've accessed, and we get reimbursed that $50,000 back from the company. So there's no cash flow effect, completely seamless, and when the payroll is run, it starts again like a new cycle.